Sometimes truth can be a lot stranger than fiction, like way stranger. And today we're going to dive into one of those stories, a story that's, well, it's pretty wild. It's called the shaved monkey incident.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It all happened back in 1953.
1953, that's right.
His family in Wheeling, West Virginia, they saw what they thought was an alien in their backyard.
They were terrified.
But turned out to be, get this, a shaved monkey.
A shaved monkey? Can you imagine?
I know, right? I mean,
Wow.
it sounds pretty funny now, but thinking about it, it actually tells us a lot about what it was like back then, like what people were thinking and feeling, and maybe even something about us as humans.
It's true. This incident, it takes place during a really fascinating time, the Cold War. The world was on edge, like really on edge. People were genuinely afraid. I mean, they were afraid of what might happen next, especially, stuff coming from the sky.
Right, like the threat of nuclear war.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got all these UFO sightings happening all the time. They were all over the news. I mean, everybody was talking about it.
And science fiction was huge then, too, right?
Oh, absolutely. People were fascinated by it.
Okay, so we've got, like, this backdrop of Cold War anxiety, and everyone's kind of obsessed with aliens and outer space and all that. But how does a shaved monkey fit into all of this?
Well, just imagine for a second, it's the 1950s. You're in America. You're constantly hearing about, the threat of nuclear war, and then people start reporting all these mysterious objects in the sky.
So it's like this perfect storm of fear and paranoia.
Exactly. And that's what we call Cold War paranoia. I mean, there's this widespread fear and suspicion everywhere you went. And it wasn't just like, the threat from the Soviet Union. It was also the fear of communist infiltration within our own country. It was a tense time, to say the least.
Right. So basically, people were primed to believe, well, just about anything, no matter how crazy it sounded.
That's exactly right. And that brings us to the heart of this whole shaved monkey incident. One night, a perfectly ordinary night, a family in Wheeling, West Virginia, they hear these strange noises coming from their backyard. And naturally, right, their minds jump to the worst possible thing.
Aliens.
Exactly, an alien invasion. So they grab a flashlight, and, they head outside to investigate, to see what's going on.
And what do they find?
Well, they come face to face with this creature. It's small and pale, like really pale, and it's wrinkled, and it has these large eyes just staring at them, and it's moving in these jerky kind of spastic movements.
Oh, man, I bet that was terrifying.
Oh, absolutely. It's dark, they're scared, and their imaginations are just running wild.
So they freak out.
They start screaming their heads off. The neighbors hear all the commotion and come rushing over. Some of them even grab their guns, thinking it's the start of an alien attack. It's pure chaos out there.
Can you imagine the scene? It must have been pandemonium. But then, the big reveal, right, it wasn't an alien at all.
Nope, not even close. Turns out it was a monkey. But here's the kicker. It was a completely shaved monkey.
Wait, a shaved monkey? That just raises even more questions.
Right. I mean, how did a shaved monkey end up in a suburban backyard in West Virginia?
That's definitely not something you see every day. So how did it get there? What were some of the theories that people came up with?
There are a bunch of theories floating around. All kinds of explanations, each one weirder than the last.
Let's start with, like, the simplest one, okay? The cruel prank theory. Was this just someone's idea of a really messed up joke?
It's definitely possible. Pranks were pretty common back then, especially among college fraternities. And this one would have been like the ultimate prank, Everyone would be talking about it.
I can just picture it now. A bunch of college kids, hanging out in their dorm room, coming up with this crazy scheme. But how would they even get a monkey in the first place? And then how would they shave it? I mean, wouldn't it bite them?
Yeah, that's the tricky part. Pulling off a prank like this, it would be really complicated. You'd need like a lot of planning, and honestly, you'd have to be pretty heartless to do that to a monkey.
Okay, so maybe a prank is less likely than we first thought. What about something, I don't know, a little more sinister? Like, what about the idea that this monkey was part of some kind of, like, lab experiment and it escaped?
Ah, yes, the lab experiment escapee theory. And this one actually ties into a very real part of the 1950s. Scientific research was booming, and there were a lot of experiments happening, especially experiments with primates. This was the dawn of the space age, right? And scientists were doing all sorts of tests to see how, living beings would react to being in space.
People were kind of fascinated by this stuff, but also a little scared at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. There were a lot of concerns back then about what was going on in these labs, questions about whether it was ethical to be doing these experiments on animals and also what these experiments might lead to. Just imagine the headlines. Shaved monkey, possible subject of secret government experiment, terrorizes suburban neighborhood. I mean, that plays right into those Cold War fears about scientific advancements and how they might be used.
For something dangerous.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got pranks and we've got lab experiments.
Yeah.
But what if it was something a little less dramatic than that? Like, what if the monkey was just, a regular monkey that belonged to somebody?
Well, there's always the circus monkey theory. Traveling circuses and sideshows were super popular back in the 1950s, and monkeys were like star attractions. So it's not that hard to imagine, a monkey escaping from its cage during a show, or maybe even while it was being transported from one town to the next.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we've got pranks, lab experiments, and circus escapades. Is there anything else?
Well, there is one more theory, but it's the most outlandish one of all. It's the theory that connects this shaved monkey to UFOs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, it sounds crazy, right? But when you
Yeah.
think about it, it was the 1950s and UFO sightings, well, they were like all over the place. People were, I don't know, they were just obsessed with the idea that we weren't alone, that there was other life out there.
So some people started connecting the dots, right? They saw this shaved monkey and they thought, hey, maybe this is connected to those UFOs we keep hearing about. But how did they make that connection? What was the logic there?
Well, some UFO enthusiasts, they came up with this theory that the shaved monkey was, get this, a failed alien experiment.
A failed alien experiment. What, like the aliens were trying to create some kind of like a human monkey hybrid or something?
Yeah, that's the idea. The aliens were messing around with genetics, trying to create some kind of new being, but they messed up somewhere along the way. And this poor shaved monkey, well, it was like the unfortunate result of their experiment.
Okay, I gotta admit, that's a pretty creative explanation.
Yeah.
Even if it is a little out there.
It is, it is. But, it's funny because even though we can laugh about it now, this theory actually, tells us something pretty deep about human nature. When we're confronted with something that we don't understand, something that doesn't make sense, we try to make sense of it. We try to come up with some kind of explanation, even if that explanation is, well, a little crazy.
It's like our brains need a story.
Yeah.
They need some way to fit these weird things into our understanding of the world, even if that means coming up with stories about aliens and botched experiments and stuff like that.
Exactly, exactly. And the thing is, even with all these theories, the pranks, the lab experiments, the circus monkeys, the alien hybrids, we still don't know the real story of the shaved monkey incident. It's still a mystery.
Which is part of what makes it so fascinating, right? It's this unsolved mystery from the past, and it's become like a legend, a part of West Virginia folklore.
It is. It is. And I think it also speaks to our fascination with the unexplained. Those little moments in history where something strange and unexplainable happens. It's like the shaved monkey incident. It like poked a hole in our everyday reality and let a little bit of the bizarre shine through.
Yeah, it's true. And you can't forget about the setting, the time period, the 1950s. I mean, that was such a crazy time, a time of like so much change, so much social and technological change happening so fast.
Absolutely. You've got the Cold War, the space race, the rise of suburbia, all these things happening at once, and it created this feeling of unease, like people weren't really sure what was going to happen next.
And the shaved monkey incident, it kind of captured the spirit of that era. It had this mix of humor and mystery and maybe even a little bit of fear all rolled into one.
It's like a perfect snapshot of a particular moment in time. A reminder that history isn't just about the big events, the wars and the presidents and all that. It's also about these small, strange moments that happen along the way, moments that tell us something about who we are.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so we've talked about the mystery, the setting, but what about the impact? I mean, this happened over 70 years ago, and people are still talking about it, still fascinated by it. Why is that? What's the lasting appeal of the shaved monkey incident?
Well, it's interesting to see how the incident has been interpreted over the years. For some people, it's just a funny story, a reminder that sometimes the most bizarre events have the simplest explanations.
Like, hey, sometimes a shaved monkey is just a shaved monkey, right?
Exactly. But for other people, it's more than just a funny story. They see it as, I don't know, like a cautionary tale.
A cautionary tale about what?
About the dangers of mass hysteria. How when people are afraid and uncertain, it can lead to some pretty irrational behavior. I mean, remember, people were genuinely terrified that night. They were convinced that the world was ending, that aliens were invading.
Yeah, it shows you how quickly rumors and fear can spread, especially when people are under a lot of stress.
That's right. But then there are other people who see it as a symbol of something more, something positive.
Positive. How so?
Well, they see it as a symbol of our sense of wonder, our willingness to believe in the possibility of the extraordinary, even if that extraordinary turns out to be, well, a shaved monkey.
Yeah, I get that. It's like, even though we know it wasn't really an alien, there's still a part of us that wants to believe in something bigger than ourselves, something that challenges our understanding of the world.
And that's a good thing, right? That sense of wonder, that curiosity, it's what keeps us going. It's what makes life interesting.
I think so too. It keeps us open to new possibilities, even if those possibilities involve, a mischievous primate causing a ruckus in a small town.
Yeah.
But it's not just about the incident itself, right? It's about the story. The story of the shaved monkey incident has become part of our culture, a kind of cultural touchstone.
Exactly. It's transcended its humble origins to become this reference point for all things strange and unexplained. It's been in books and articles and even comedy routines. There's even been talk, jokingly of course, of some towns in West Virginia adopting the shaved monkey as their official mascot.
Now that would be a mascot. But I think it's
Wow.
interesting how the shaved monkey incident has become part of this bigger conversation about UFOs and paranormal phenomena.
It has, and it's kind of strange because the alien explanation, I mean, that was debunked pretty quickly, but it shows you the power of a story. Once a story takes hold in people's minds, it can be hard to let go of, even if the evidence says otherwise.
It's like the incident tapped into something deeper, something primal, a kind of, I don't know, a collective fascination with the unknown, a desire to believe that there's more to reality than we can see or touch or measure.
And maybe that's the real legacy of the shaved monkey incident. It's a reminder that even in this day and age, with all our technology and all our scientific advancements, there are still mysteries out there. There are still stories that we can't fully explain.
Stories that make us question, make us laugh, make us wonder.
Exactly. And sometimes a good story, a story that makes you think, well, that's all you really need. But I'm curious, if we could go back in time, back to 1953, and we were standing there in that backyard, flashlight in hand, what do you think? Which theory would you find most convincing?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Experiment escape theory and the circus monkey theory.
Yeah, those are both pretty good ones. The lab escapee theory, it plays into those Cold War fears, the idea of secret government experiments and things going wrong. It's pretty scary when you think about it.
And the circus monkey theory, well, this has that element of mischief, a monkey on the loose causing trouble. It's almost like something out of a cartoon.
And you can't forget the sheer absurdity of it all, a shaved monkey. It's just funny, but it also makes you wonder, about all the other strange and unexplained things that have happened throughout history. Things that might seem unbelievable at first, but when you really look into them, well, they tell us something about who we are, about what it means to be human.
That's a great point. We tend to focus on the big events, the wars and the revolutions and all that, but it's often the small, quirky stories, the stories like the shaved monkey incident, that really capture our imagination, the stories that stick with us.
They remind us that the world is a strange and wonderful place, full of surprises. But before we wrap up our deep dive into the shaved monkey incident, I think we should leave our listeners with something to think about, something to ponder.
Yeah, a final thought to take with them as they go about their day. What if, and I know this might sound crazy, but what if the shaved monkey incident wasn't just a case of mistaken identity?
Okay, everyone, hold on to your hats. We're about to enter the realm of pure speculation.
What if there was something more to this story? What if that shaved monkey was a sign, a symbol, a harbinger of something bigger, something we don't fully understand, something we're only just beginning to glimpse?
It's a tantalizing thought, isn't it? Maybe it was a message from the universe, a cosmic joke, a reminder that even in our quest for knowledge and understanding, there will always be things that defy explanation, things that remain hidden from view.
And maybe, just maybe, that's okay. Maybe the real lesson of the shaved monkey incident is to embrace the unknown, to find humor in the unexpected, and to never stop questioning the world around us. Because who knows, right? Maybe there's like a whole troop of shaved monkeys out there just waiting to be discovered.
Yeah, just like running around causing mayhem.
And maybe, just maybe, one of those shaved monkeys will like hold the key to, I don't know, unlocking some of the universe's greatest mysteries.
Like it'll lead us to some ancient alien artifact or something.
Or, maybe it'll just give us a good laugh.
Okay.
Either way, the shaved monkey incident, I think it's safe to say it's earned its place in, the history of weird and wonderful tales.
Oh, absolutely. It's a classic.
It's a reminder that sometimes truth really is stranger than fiction.
And that even the most bizarre events can teach us something,
Yeah, they can teach us about ourselves, about, how we react to things we don't understand.
About our capacity for wonder, our willingness to believe.
And our need to find humor even when things are, well, a little bit scary.
Exactly. So the next time you hear a strange noise in your backyard, don't just dismiss it,
Don't assume it's just the wind or the cat or something.
It might just be a shaved monkey ready to make history.
And hey, who knows? Maybe it'll even lead you on a deep dive of your own.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep embracing the absurdity of it all.
Because that's where the real adventure is.
And as always, stay curious.
Oh.
Thanks for listening to today's podcast. The West Virginia Media Lab is all about celebrating our state and its people, businesses, stories, news, and folklore. If you love West Virginia like we do, be sure to comment below, then subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell to stay connected. Until next time, stay wild, wonderful, West Virginia.